The rescue. The galaxy was at war. Stars burned in the skies above, and smoke from destroyed ships floated in space like black clouds. On the edge of Sector 9, a lone mercenary ship drifted silently, hidden behind a moon crater. Inside it sat Captain Jax, a rugged human with sharp eyes and a scar running down his jaw. He wasn't a soldier. He wasn't loyal to any flag. Jax fought for money, food, and survival. And today he wanted peace. He sat in the pilot's seat sipping old coffee when the ship's scanner beeped. Distress signal detected, the system said in its cold robotic voice. Jax raised an eyebrow. Who the hell's screaming out here? He pressed a few buttons. The signal was weak, but it carried royal codes, Veltraxian codes. The Veltrax were one of the most powerful alien empires in the galaxy, and right now they were at war with humans. Great, Jax muttered. That's not my fight. He stood up to leave the signal alone. But then, the transmission played. A short message. This is Prince Kale of Veltrax. I am under attack. I repeat, I am under attack. Jax froze. A prince? Why would a Veltrax royal be stranded alone out here? His mind said stay away. Helping a Veltrax could make him a traitor. But his gut said something else. Maybe it was the tone in the prince's voice. Maybe it was the silence after the message. Maybe he was just tired of letting people die. With a sigh, he grabbed his gear and shouted to his ship, "Prep for landing, we're going in." The desert moon below was a nightmare, burning sun, sharp winds, and dust storms that could peel. Skin Jax's boots hit the sand hard. He followed the smoke trail to a wrecked ship, half buried in a dune. Pieces of the golden Veltrax armor were scattered in the wind. Blood, too. Blue alien blood. He moved fast, eyes scanning for traps. Then he heard a groan. Behind a broken wing, a tall figure crawled through the sand. His silver cape was torn. His breathing was shallow, but even covered in dirt and blood, his face held pride and strength. It was Prince Kale. Two masked attackers stood over him, blades in hand. Assassins. Jax didn't hesitate. With quick aim, he fired 2 shots. The first assassin dropped. The second rushed him, but Jax ducked low and slammed his elbow into the alien's chest, grabbing the blade and striking fast. Silence fell. Jax stood over the prince. "You're lucky I hate dying royalty." Kale looked up, dazed. His eyes blinked in confusion. "You're human?" Jax nodded. Surprise. Later, inside a hidden cave, Jax patched Kale's wounds. "You should have stayed with your army," Jax said, tying a bandage around the prince's shoulder. Kale winced. "I was meeting someone, a peace deal, but it was a trap." Jax sat back. "And now you owe me." Kale gave a weak smile. "You don't even know who I am." Jax leaned against the wall. "Don't need to. You bleed like anyone else." A while there was silence. Just the wind howling outside. Then footsteps. Veltraxian royal guards entered the cave, tall, armored, with golden helmets. They had tracked Kale's signal. Jax stood ready for a fight, but Kale raised his hand. "He's the one who saved me," Kale told his men. They looked at Jax with quiet respect and confusion. Why would a human risk his life for an alien prince? As the guards helped Kale to his feet, the prince turned to Jax. His voice was soft but firm. "You will be rewarded," he said. Jax shrugged. "I don't need money." Kale's eyes narrowed. "Not money. Our way." Then he whispered something to his guards in Veltraxian. Jax didn't understand the words, but the way the guards looked at him, wide-eyed and unsure, made his skin crawl. Outside, as the dust storm rose again, Kale looked up at the sky and said one last thing before being taken away. "The gift will arrive soon. Be ready." And with that, the royal ship took off, leaving Jax in the quiet desert. He didn't know it yet, but this rescue would change the galaxy and his life forever. Because soon, he would meet the gift, and she was nothing like he expected. The gift. No one wanted Captain Jax had seen many strange things in his life. He had battled pirates in asteroid belts, smuggled weapons across forbidden zones, and once escaped a dying star by flying through its fire. But nothing prepared him for what came 2 days after he rescued the alien prince. He was aboard his ship, patching the holes in his hull and trying to forget the whole thing when the long-range sensors beeped again. Another ship was approaching. Slow, heavy, and unmistakably Veltraxian. Not again, Jax muttered. He didn't bother raising shields. If they wanted him dead, they wouldn't knock first. Instead, the massive golden ship hovered over him and sent a single message. By order of Prince Kale of Veltrax, your reward has arrived. Open your hangar. With a suspicious frown, Jax tapped a button. The lower bay hissed open and a small silver pod descended into his ship like an egg from the stars. He stood in the shadows, hand resting on his gun, ready for anything. The pod hissed. Steam rolled across the floor. A door slid open slowly, and then she stepped out. Tall, cloaked in a heavy purple robe, head bowed, face hidden beneath a metallic veil. Her presence filled the room with a cold silence. Who the hell are you? Jax asked. She said nothing. Another message appeared on his screen. She is yours. A sacred gift. Accept her or insult the royal house. Jax blinked. What the hell? The woman raised her head slightly but said nothing. Her hands were clasped in front of her like she had been trained, no, ordered, to stand like this. You've got to be kidding me, Jax whispered, staring at her. Another message followed. She is Princess Thera, sister of Prince Kale. Jax nearly choked. They gave him a princess? No, not just a princess. Kale's own sister. Jax poured himself a drink that night, staring at the veiled woman sitting silently across from him in the ship's common area. She hadn't spoken a word, hadn't eaten, hadn't even looked him in the eye. This has to be some kind of joke, he muttered. The galactic cultures were strange, Jax knew that. Some aliens gave land, others gave metals, but gifting a living person, that was madness, insulting even. He turned to her. Look, Thera, or whatever your name is. I don't know what your brother told you, but I'm not interested in whatever this is. Still nothing. Just quiet breathing behind that mask. I didn't ask for this, Jax said. I didn't ask for you. Then she finally moved. She stood slowly and took a step forward. Her voice, when she spoke, was soft but clear. Neither did I. Jax stopped. Her words hung in the air like a blade. I was told nothing, she continued. Only that I was being sent away. Because you saved his life. Jax frowned. So, he what, gave you to me like a pet? Thera lowered her head. A tool, a burden lifted from him. I am not loved in my world. They think I am cursed. She reached up, fingers brushing the edge of her veil. But you saved Kale. So now I belong to you. Jax stood slowly, tense. You don't belong to anyone. For a second, their eyes met through the thin slits of the veil, and in that second he saw it. The pain, the years of rejection, the silence, the fear. She was not a gift. She was a punishment, a secret the royal family wanted to hide. A girl they didn't know what to do with, so they gave her away, to him. The next morning, Jax decided to drop her off at the nearest neutral station. He wasn't going to play babysitter to a political gift. But as his ship left the moon's orbit, something strange happened. The navigation systems glitched. Warnings flashed across the console. Access locked. Course override engaged. What the hell? Jax barked. He tried to steer manually, but the ship didn't respond. Thera stood silently behind him. You did this? He shouted. No, she said. They did. A hologram appeared. Prince Kale's face filled the screen. Captain Jax, you must understand, in our culture, giving one's own blood is the highest honor. But there is more you must know. My sister holds a dangerous truth, one that could bring down empires. Protect her. You may not believe it yet, but soon you'll see. This gift is not what it seems. The message ended. Jax turned to Thera. Care to explain? But she was already sitting again, as if waiting for something to begin. That night, Jax sat in his quarters, unable to sleep. He stared at the ceiling, thoughts racing. Why did Kale send her? What was the dangerous truth? Why did she wear a veil, even in private? His curiosity burned. Finally, he walked quietly down the corridor to the guest room. The door was open. She was sitting by the window, staring out at the stars. "Can I ask you something?" he said softly. Thera nodded. "Why do they call you cursed?" She was silent for a long moment. Then slowly she turned to him. "In Veltrax, legend," she said, "those born with light in their eyes are marked by the void. I was born during a moon eclipse. My eyes glow in the dark." She pulled off her veil. Jax stared. Her face was strange, alien, but not ugly. Her skin shimmered faintly, and her eyes, they weren't glowing exactly, but they reflected starlight. Like mirrors, it was beautiful, unnatural, and yes, a little terrifying. "I was hidden since birth," she said. "Even Kale feared me, until now." Jax looked at her in a new way. "You're not cursed," he said. "They just didn't understand you." Thera gave a faint smile. "And do you?" Jax didn't answer, but he knew the answer was already beginning to form. Suddenly, alarms blared across the ship. He jumped up, running to the control deck. Enemy ships approaching, Veltraxian assassins. Fast, deadly, coming right for them. "They found us," Thera whispered, standing behind him. Jax looked at the screen. "Why? I thought you were a gift." She didn't blink. "I think I was bait." Bound by honor, Jax slammed his fist onto the control panel, switching to full shields. 3 sleek Veltraxian stealth fighters were closing in fast. Their engines glowed red with fury, and their weapons were already warming up. "What kind of gift comes with assassins chasing her?" Jax growled. Princess Thera stood quietly behind him, her hands folded, her face calm. Too calm. "I told you," she said softly. "I was not sent to be honored. I was sent to be erased." The words hit him like a slap. He turned to her, eyes wide. "Your own brother set this up?" Thera shook her head. "Not Kale. Someone else. Someone in the palace who doesn't want me to speak." "Speak about what?" Jax asked, already steering the ship into evasive maneuvers. She hesitated. Then, in a voice barely above a whisper, "There's a secret buried in Veltrax history, something I was born to reveal. They fear it will destroy the throne." The ship rocked violently as a missile exploded near the left engine. Jax cursed and flipped the ship upside down, diving between 2 asteroids. Save the royal politics for later. "Right now, we stay alive." He fired back, landing a direct hit on one of the enemy fighters. It spun into an asteroid and exploded. 1 down, 2 to go. The second fighter fired twin beams. One grazed Jax's wing, sending sparks across the dashboard. "They won't stop," Thera said quietly, watching the flames lick across the window. Jax's jaw tightened. "Then we make them stop." He pulled hard on the controls, spinning the ship into a tight roll and leading the enemies into a narrow rock canyon. The walls closed in, but Jax moved like a ghost between shadows, using the terrain to his advantage. The fighters followed, not realizing it was a trap. Jax waited until the last second, then suddenly hit the brakes. The enemy overshot, and he fired a burst directly into the rear engine. Boom! 2 down. The last fighter turned sharply, realizing it had been outplayed, but it was too late. Jax launched a high-speed drone with a magnetic pulse that clamped onto the fighter's hull. Seconds later, it exploded like a firework across the stars. Silence returned. The ship shook slightly, engines whining, but it was still flying. Jax leaned back, breathing hard. "Well, that was fun." Thera was staring at him. "What?" he asked. "You fight like someone with nothing to lose," she said. He shrugged. "That's because I don't." There was a long silence. Thera sat down beside him. "You could have left me." Jax didn't respond. She looked at him carefully. "Why didn't you?" He stared at the stars for a moment, then said, "I've been used, thrown away, forgotten. I know what that feels like. I wouldn't do it to someone else." Thira's eyes shimmered, but before either could say more, a faint beep echoed across the control panel. A hidden message had just been unlocked. Jax frowned and tapped the screen. A hidden file from Kale appeared, set to activate only after an attack on Thira. Kale's face appeared again, this time serious, troubled. "Jax, if you're seeing this, it means my enemies are moving faster than I expected. I gave you Thira not just as a gift, but as a warning. Someone inside our royal court is planning a coup. Thira knows the truth, a truth that could stop the war between our races forever. But she is also the key to a weapon, one buried in our ancestors' past, a power hidden inside her very bloodline. If they control her, they can start a war that will consume every planet in this galaxy. Protect her no matter what." The message cut out. Silence. Jax turned to Thira. "What power?" Thira's voice was shaking. "I don't know. Not fully. But my mother once whispered about it, something ancient. Something not even the Veltrax elders understand. I was born under an eclipse, Jax. They think I carry the energy of the old world." Jax's heart beat faster. She wasn't just a cursed princess. She was a living weapon. That night, Jax stood on the outer deck of the ship staring at the broken stars. His mind raced. He'd fought wars for money, betrayed friends for contracts, and lived on the edge of death for years. But now, he was part of something much bigger, and more dangerous. Thira joined him quietly, standing beside him. "You don't have to do this," she said. "I know," Jax replied. "Then why are you still here?" He looked at her. "Because someone has to be," she smiled faintly. "I've never had someone stay." "Well, get used to it." For the first time, Thira looked at him with something close to trust. But just as she opened her mouth to speak, a piercing sound echoed through the ship. An emergency alarm. Jax rushed to the control room. The screen lit up with red alerts. Tracking, beacon activated, coordinates compromised. Someone had planted a tracker. Thira froze. "They knew we'd survive. They want us to lead them to the vault." "What vault?" Jax asked. "The place where the weapon was hidden." My mother marked. "The map in me." She rolled up her sleeve and touched a scar near her shoulder. Suddenly, a hidden hologram blinked to life from beneath her skin. A star chart. A distant planet. Coordinates locked. Jax stared. "Looks like we're going treasure hunting." He muttered. "But it's not treasure," Thira said. "It's a key. A key to something the galaxy was never meant to find." Jax tightened his grip on the controls. "Then we better get there first." As the ship sped toward the distant planet, neither of them noticed the small black drone trailing in the darkness. Silent, invisible, and transmitting everything. Back on Veltrax, in a hidden chamber deep beneath the royal palace, a figure in shadow watched the screen. A voice hissed from the darkness. "They've found the path. Send the hunters, and prepare the temple. It's time." The screen blinked red. The game had begun. Temple of Shadows. The stars stretched like silver threads as Jax's ship entered orbit around a dead planet known only in legends. Netherian. It was silent, cold, forgotten. Jax had seen battlefields, smuggler dens, even cursed planets scorched by plasma fire. But this place, it felt different, like the planet itself was watching. Thira stared at the cracked surface through the ship's viewport. This is where the truth sleeps. The vault Kale warned about, hidden deep inside a structure older than the Veltrax Empire itself, was built long ago by ancient beings who understood power beyond weapons. It wasn't just a vault, it was a temple. As they descended, the ship struggled. Magnetic storms danced across the surface like ghosts. "Atmosphere's unstable," Jax muttered. "Figures. Place doesn't want visitors." When they landed, the air was thin and dry. The sky above was blood red, split by black clouds that never moved. Jax and Thera stepped out wearing light armor. Jax carried 2 pulse pistols and a plasma blade. Thera wore a long silver cloak with ancient symbols glowing faintly across her chest. She carried no weapons, only secrets. The temple entrance was hidden beneath a canyon of jagged stone. The walls were covered in carvings, creatures with wings, and eyes that stared in every direction. Jax ran his hand across one of them. "These aren't Veltrax symbols." Thera nodded. "No, these were made by the Velari, a race long extinct. They believed in binding energy to blood. They didn't use machines. They used life itself." Jax raised a brow. "Remind me never to invite them to dinner." She smiled weakly, but her face turned serious as she approached the door. "Only someone of the bloodline can open it," she said. She pressed her hand against a stone panel. The ground shook. With a deep rumble, the door cracked open, revealing darkness inside. Inside the temple, the air grew colder. Their lights barely reached the walls, which pulsed with faint blue veins like the inside of a living creature. Statues stood along the path, some humanoid, others completely alien. Thera walked with certainty. "I've seen this in visions," she said. "My mother passed it down. The temple tests those who enter." "Tests?" Jax asked. As if in answer, the path behind them sealed shut. "Aviwar." "Course," Jax muttered. "Can't be too easy." The first chamber was a mirror room. The walls lit up with holograms, each showing different versions of Jax and Thera. In one, Jax wore royal armor, a crown on his head. In another, he lay dead, surrounded by fire. Thera's reflection showed her with glowing eyes, holding galaxies in her hand. In another, she was screaming, her body turning to ash. Jax stepped forward. "What is this?" Thera whispered. "Choices. Futures. Possible ends." Suddenly, the reflections turned to them and spoke in unison. "Who are you?" "When the lies fall away." The doors didn't open. Jack stepped toward one of the mirrors. "I'm a mercenary," he said. The reflection shook its head. "False," he growled. "I don't have a title, I don't have a purpose, I just fight." The mirror cracked, then shattered. One by one, the mirrors broke as Jack spoke not with pride, but with truth. "I was broken, left behind. I have nothing." Then, softly, "But I protect her because it's the only thing I've done that feels right." The final mirror exploded into light. The door opened. The second chamber was worse. It was alive. A massive circular room with roots hanging from the ceiling, pulsing like veins. In the center was a pool of glowing silver water. Thera froze. "Blood memory." Jack stared. "What now?" She looked at him, eyes wide. "It's the final test. I must enter. If I am worthy, the vault opens. If not, the temple takes me." Jax grabbed her arm. "No, there has to be another way." She gently touched his hand. "This is the way." Before he could argue, she stepped into the pool. The moment her foot touched the surface, the room exploded in light. Inside the vision, Thera saw everything. Her mother, crying as she gave birth under the eclipse. Kael, protecting her from shadows in the palace. And then, the truth. Veltrax's royal bloodline was not pure. It was fused long ago with Velari DNA, a desperate act to preserve power. That blood was passed down and perfected in her. She wasn't just a princess. She was a living key to an ancient technology, one that could control minds, shape reality, rewrite war itself. She was the final piece of a forgotten weapon system. And now she knew where it was. Buried, she fell to her knees, gasping, soaked in silver. Jax caught her before she collapsed. "What did you see?" Her lips trembled. "I know where it is. The core. It's real. And if they find it, the war won't end. It'll become a genocide." He helped her stand. "Then we stop them." But just as they turned to leave, a sound echoed down the wind. Hall's footsteps, not one, not two, dozens. The hunters had arrived. Veltrax's secret Black Ops assassins, cloaked in shadows, faces hidden, weapons drawn. Leading them was a tall figure with silver armor and a jagged crown. Thera froze. "General." "Pharaon," she whispered. Jax raised his pistols. "Friend of yours?" "No. He's the one who tried to kill Kyle. He wants the throne, and me." Erased. Pharaon stepped forward, his voice smooth like oil. "You should have died on Veltrax, Thera. But perhaps I should thank you. Now, you'll lead me to the core." Jack stepped in front of her. Pharaon smiled. A human mercenary standing in the way of destiny. How cute. Without warning, the hunters attacked. Blades flashed. Pulse weapons hissed. Energy crackled through the ancient temple. Jax moved like a storm, spinning, firing, ducking, each shot precise, each step deadly. Thera used her energy now, her body glowing faintly as she deflected attacks without touching them. Her power was growing, waking up inside her. Pharaon charged, his blade aimed at her heart. Jax tackled him mid-swing. They crashed into the wall, weapons clashing. "You can't win," Pharaon snarled. Jax grinned. "Good, I like those odds." Together, Jax and Thera fought through the impossible. But the temple was collapsing. The power awakened by Thera's test was too much. "Run!" Jax yelled. They dashed toward the exit, as the temple caved in behind them. Just as they reached the surface, the ground exploded. A giant column of silver light shot into the sky, marking the location of the core for every ship in the system to see. Back on the ship, as Jax launched them into space, he looked at Thera. "What now?" She looked at the rising beacon. "We stop the weapon before Pharaon finds it, or this galaxy burns." The core of all things, the galaxy had changed in a heartbeat. Across hundreds of systems, ancient satellites blinked awake. Ships from warring factions turned toward one point in space. Pirate lords, royal fleets, bounty hunters. Everyone saw the same signal rising from the dead world of Netherian. The core had been found, and everyone wanted it. Inside Jax's ship, alarms flashed. A dozen unidentified ships had entered the system, and more were coming fast. Jax sat in the pilot's seat, eyes sharp. "We've got incoming." Thera stood behind him, her face pale, her hands trembling. The power inside her was still unstable, waking up piece by piece. "They're scanning. For royal DNA," she whispered. "They're not just chasing us, they're chasing me." "Then we don't let them catch you," Jax said. He pulled the ship into a tight spiral, avoiding laser fire from a Veltrax cruiser overhead. They weren't just being hunted, they were being surrounded. Minutes later, they landed on the icy moon of Trenkara, a forgotten satellite orbiting the world where the core was buried. It was the only safe place left to plan their next move. The landscape was bleak, frozen mountains, lightning storms in the distance, and strange glowing plants that hummed when touched. Inside a natural cave, Jax and Thera studied the map. Thera had seen in her vision. "The core lies beneath the crystal chasm," she said. "We'll have to go deep, no machines, only on foot. It's guarded by the same power that built the temple." Jax rubbed his jaw. "Of course it is." Then he looked at her seriously. "You sure you want to do this?" She nodded. "If I don't, millions will die." Jax loaded his weapons. "Then let's move." The descent into the crystal chasm was slow and dangerous. Caves of glassy ice reflected light in every direction, making it hard to tell what was real. Strange sounds echoed in the tunnels, voices, whispers, sometimes even their own. It was like walking through someone's memory. "I don't trust this place," Jax muttered. "You shouldn't," Thera replied. "The core protects itself." As they reached the bottom, the tunnel opened into a vast underground chamber. What they saw took their breath away. In the center floated a massive silver sphere, pulsing with veins of blue and white light. Dozens of ancient devices circled it, humming in rhythm. "It's alive," Jax whispered. Thera stepped forward. "No, it's listening." Suddenly, her body lit up. The same veins of light appeared across her arms, her face, even her eyes. She was linked to it. The core responded to her blood. Memories surged through her mind. Visions of ancient Veltrax kings using the core to control entire civilizations. She saw planets burned, species erased, and peace destroyed in the name of order. She also saw something terrifying. The core had a will of its own. It didn't just obey. It chose. And now, it was choosing her. Back on the surface, General Veyron's ship landed. Hundreds of troops spilled out. Hunters, assassins, drones. Veyron stepped into the storm, smiling. She's here. He activated a beacon. A massive digging war machine descended from orbit, designed to break through the strongest. "Crusts, dig fast," he growled. "The core belongs to me." Inside the chamber, Thera collapsed to her knees. Jax caught her, worried. "What's happening?" She opened her glowing eyes. "It's asking me if I want to use it." Jax hesitated. "And do you?" She shook her head. "I don't want this power, but if Veyron gets it..." Suddenly, the walls shook. Explosions above. "They've found us," Jax yelled. Thera stood up, her energy now brighter than ever. "Then we make a stand." They prepared. Jax rigged explosives near the entrance tunnels. Thera focused her energy, shaping it into glowing shields and pulses of light. Minutes later, Veyron arrived. He stepped into the chamber, clapping slowly. "Well done, little sister." "You found it." Jax raised his pistol. "Back off." Veyron sneered. "Still playing, bodyguard human? How noble." Thera stepped forward. "You don't understand what this is, Veyron. You can't control it." "I don't need to control it," he said. "I just need to be near it when it wakes." That's when he revealed the real plan. Veyron's armor was infused with ancient Velari tech. He wasn't here to use the core. He was here to merge with it. As Veyron stepped into the light of the core, something went wrong. The core resisted him. He screamed in pain as his armor melted, his body crackling with energy. The core had chosen, and he wasn't worthy. Jax fired into the chaos, trying to hold back the hunters. Thera, glowing brighter now, stepped into the heart of the storm. "I won't let you take it," she said. The core responded to her voice. Its light expanded, its power rose, it wrapped around her like wings. Veyron was lifted into the air, trapped in a prison of energy. "You're just a mistake," he roared. Thera's voice rang through the chamber like thunder. "I'm not a mistake, I'm a protector." With a final surge, she unlinked the core. Its energy vanished. The light disappeared. The room fell silent. Veyron collapsed to the ground, unconscious. Jax ran to Thera. "Are you okay?" She nodded, breathing hard. "It's done. The core is locked. No one can use it now." Jax looked around. "Then let's get out of here before this place buries us." As they escaped the collapsing chamber, Thera looked back one last time. The core floated quietly. It would wait. It always did. Back on the ship, Jax looked at her. "You sure it's really over?" Thera smiled softly. "Not over. But for the first time, I'm not running." He leaned back in the pilot seat. "Good, because we've got a galaxy full of trouble out there." She nodded. "Let's face it, together." And as the ship jumped into hyperspace, the stars ahead looked just a little brighter. Rise of the Broken Crown, the core was silent, but the galaxy was not. News of the Veltrax core awakening spread like fire across star systems. Every major power, human and alien alike, wanted the technology, the power, and most of all, the girl who tamed it. Thyra, a royal fugitive, a hidden heir. Now a symbol of something even greater, hope and danger. On the bridge of Jax's ship, the Rusthawk, silence hung heavy. Jax studied the galactic reports flooding in. Thera's image appeared on nearly every bounty network. Wanted, Thera of Veltrax, for treason, technological theft, and unauthorized contact with the core. Reward 20 million credits, dead or alive. Jax cursed under his breath. They're really going all in. Thera stood quietly at the window looking out at the starfield. Her eyes, once soft and uncertain, now glowed faintly with power. But her heart was still heavy. They won't stop, she said. Not until I'm back in chains or dead. Jax crossed his arms. Then we stay ahead and hit back if we have to. But where do we go? She asked. Jax turned and pointed at an old star map. There. Thera's eyes widened. The Ash Worlds, he nodded. No one follows anyone into the Ash Worlds. The Ash Worlds were dead systems, asteroid belts, scorched planets, radioactive moons. Only smugglers, outlaws, and broken empires dared hide there. But deep in the gray dust of the planet Eltros, Jax knew someone dangerous, an old mercenary queen named Casa Vorn. She owes me, Jax said. She'll help. Maybe. They landed on Eltros during a storm. Winds howled like dying beasts. Ruins of once great cities lay buried under black sand. The sky was red and nothing grew here. Thera stepped off the ship, her cloak flapping in the wind. Why would anyone stay here? Jax grinned. You'll see. They were met by two towering guards with metal arms and glowing red visors. One of them nodded and said, "The Queen's expecting you." Inside an ancient fortress carved into volcanic rock, they met Casa Vorn. She was older now, but no less dangerous. Her eyes were sharp, her voice low and cruel. She sat on a throne made of bones and old weapons. "Jax Wren," she said. "Still, dragging trouble with you?" He smiled. This time the trouble talks back. Thera stepped forward. "We need sanctuary." Casa studied her. "You're the girl, the one with the core." Thera didn't answer. Casa laughed. "Good, I like quiet weapons." Later that night, Jax and Casa talked alone. "She's not ready," Casa warned. "She has power, but no plan. You'll both die out there." "She's learning fast," Jax said. "Faster than I've ever seen." Casa leaned closer. "Then you better be ready when she becomes more than you can protect." Meanwhile, Thera sat alone in a dark room. The core still pulsed inside her. Veins quiet but alive. Sometimes it showed her things. Visions. A crown floating above a broken empire. A man with no face leading fleets to burn what remained of Veltrax. And worst of all, a voice inside her whispering, "Take the throne. Take what is yours." Thera shook it off. She didn't want a throne. She wanted peace. But peace was no longer an option. The next morning, Casa revealed what she had hidden. A Veltrax warship buried beneath the sands. Old tech. Illegal, but fast, and armed with ancient weapons the modern fleet no longer understood. "You want to survive?" Casa asked. "Then stop running. Go to the Royal Council, not to beg, but to fight." Thera's eyes burned. "No," she said. "I won't fight for them." Casa raised an eyebrow. "Then what?" Thera stepped onto the ship's ramp. "I'm not fighting for the throne, I'm fighting to end it." Suddenly the fortress shook. An explosion tore through the walls. Jax grabbed Thera. "We've been tracked." Casa's guards returned fire as black-armored bounty hunters stormed in. Silent, fast, ruthless. Jax and Thera fought side by side. Plasma fire lit the hallways. Casa joined the fight herself, wielding twin shock blades. But the enemy was endless. A bounty hunter got close and stabbed Jax in the side. He dropped to one knee. "Jax!" Thera screamed. Something inside her snapped. She raised her hands and unleashed a pulse wave so powerful it shattered metal, glass, and bone. Every enemy in a 20-meter radius collapsed. Dead, the fortress fell, silent. Only Jax's breathing could be heard. He looked up at her, stunned. "What was that?" Thera trembled. "I don't know, but it's growing. They escaped Eltros barely alive." Casa stayed behind, choosing to defend her fortress till the end. Back in orbit, Thera and Jax sat in silence. The old warship they escaped in now felt like a tomb, Finally, Thera spoke. No more running. Jax looked at her. What now? She answered coldly. Now we go to Veltrax. I will face them all. I will break the crown. Cliffhanger. Far away, in the royal halls of Veltrax, the High Lords gathered. They watched a new vision appear in their sacred fire. Thera walking through fire, wrapped in light, a crown of shattered stars above her head. One lord whispered, "She's coming." Another answered, "Then we must awaken the last king."